Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. Uh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, a cesspool.
yeah. Uh, Today we're gonna be doing a little bit of a commentary type of rerun. Really, I can't even speak. Rerun type of deal.
It's toggle rewind time.
All right. So let's just start this up. This is from the video Dialectics. On my channel, you can go check it out. I'll be right back. Quiet. Give me one
Chipmunk,
quick
chipmunk,
second. Give me one
chipmunk,
quick second.
chipmunk. I'll fill the airtime. Chipmunk, 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 chipmunks. Chipmunks of doom. Lots of chipmunks. Why am I saying chipmunks? I don't know. You can make listen
Sorry,
for
yeah,
yourself.
my kid keeps not my kid, my cat, my cat keeps opening my door and you know comes in and lays on my bed, so I wanted to make sure my door was closed. All right,
So
uh,
it doesn't invade your room.
yeah, my cat always does that. Kids will come in, ask questions. If they see the door closed, they'll leave it alone. They know what's up. All right, but yeah, and this is just about when Ronan entered. So, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot I had the app. All right, there we go. Let me see if I can find
a
it.
bit.
Sorry. Trying to find a certain part in the book.
No, that's why I joined so I could take up, space while you study something.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I'll just go back to the definition of the word. That is like the word. I never looked up the definition, so now I understand it as we're discussing the truth about an opinion, and that makes it
Hmm.
very difficult. A truth based on what? My imagination or reality, right? That really kind of breaks things, down to the fundamentals. Are we talking in reality or are we talking in our minds?
Yes.
Because God is the truth in our minds. I know that, right? Well, put it this way: I accept that position because there is no actual evidence or a test that I can use to measure God, so to speak.
I will say, like, this is odd, like, right off the bat in Gecko, that Ronan comes in and automatically takes it to a God conversation. I mean, unless he's talking about, like, prior conversations in which we're engaging, I don't necessarily see it as fruitful towards this discussion in philosophy in general. It seems odd, although you can add that some of the things said do have a sense of higher calling or higher power. Um, Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know why he brought it up because I don't know if I brought up anything about God. I think he just brings it up um
Or is what
randomly.
he thinks is only of the mind, not only of the mind, but of reality, but what we cannot visually see or interact with
It's true.
within the unknowable.
Right? Which is fair. Again, I have no issue with faith. It's an emotion. So a person being truthful about their faith, right? It's an opinion, right? So yeah, I can accept that,
I,
right? But if a person is kind of like, okay, not living up to the faith, right? Like people who are
Well,
murderers, so to
that's
speak.
actually, if I could, that's actually what I was going to interject with real quick. Is like,
Go, go.
sorry, I wanted to pause it real quick. Right there. I wanted to ask you a question, get an opinion. Would you say that obligation um is an emotion?
no, not really.
Because
Also, freaking, freaking, I hate the fact that our English is messing up the understanding of the word pistis being faithfulness, fidelity, and other stuff like that. But also more of like and then in some cases when it's used in the Bible, a trust based on prior information that we know of, like say trusting your dog isn't going to rip your throat out.
But knowing that your dog can is completely different, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
Oh,
It
go.
seems more like faith instead of being a emotion would be more like a lifestyle in a sense living because I
Right.
want to say it's like a branding, you know,
Right.
you're
No,
not
no.
necessarily.
Yeah, no. We could take teenagers, right, going through their phases as a simple
Mhm.
example, right? That at that point in their life,
Pause for a
it
second.
is real. It is true.
What he's trying to basically implicate right here when he's talking first he started talking about faith, obviously, big word when it comes to Christianity, obviously. And now he's comparing it to teenagers and particularly the idea of a phase. Basically trying to say faith or Christianity is nothing more than a phase that people need to grow up out of and accept as false.
Well, isn't that what people say the
I
same thing? Like,
in a way, I don't want to like say that's what he means, but from the way he's wording it, that seems to be what he's implying.
well,
He
I was
could be
going to
trying to
ask with
say
that.
something else.
I don't know if I do get around to it, but it seems that like things that happen our teenagers are still things that comport with reality. Like I look back at my past, right? And even though I people what go through like what they say a rebellious phase, like is it really a phase or did we just stop being as rebellious or something along those lines? Like it still comports to reality even though you don't pursue it anymore. You've just
Even
repented from doing it, you know? So I don't understand how it's not like it's taken out of reality when it seems that it still
well,
was
it's
a
the
part of
idea.
reality. It's not like it's not a part of reality because it further constructed reality. It helped build the foundation of the now in reality.
Well, what I see, what at least from what I'm seeing, is that he would be trying to say that Christians need to grow up and accept reality, accept the real world kind of thing, stop being immature and become mature kind of thing, become civilized. I see that's it.
Yes. All right, let's see what to continue on here.
That's their opinion about this, right? The idea is that to them that's their truth at the time, right? And then later on, well, they'll change their hairstyle and try a different type
I'll
fashion.
pause for a minute.
It's
Because the
just like
truth
When he says that's their truth, I can make a guess on what he's meaning by that. Is what's it called? Well, to somebody, something is their truth. Like say a pagan, the pagan gods are their truth, and to individual people, something is their truth. Like say a conspiracy theorist, the conspiracy is their truth. Basically, trying to imply that it is their truth. That doesn't make it right. Basically, trying seeming like he would be implying that Christianity, because he is the one. That is what he's comparing it to, or at least the idea of a god is, you know, a truth to people, but not the truth.
well, I often because I'm surprised he didn't even say like reality, right? Instead of just truth, it seems like you could say that's part of their reality, and it's still, I would say, correct, right? Because you can have multiple realities stacked upon each other, not each of every one be different yet still hold true. Because that's how reality works in different nows. I would say. Truth changes though, and see that's the
right,
wonderful
right,
thing, right?
right.
Like
It's
like
true.
let's say they have long hair. The truth changes that they're balding, thus they need to change the hairstyle.
Right.
So it goes into follow and things of that nature. Or if they don't have to, but yeah. But
Well,
hold up real quick.
well, yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to say the first section of the thing of what I was talking about, the four things being added into the divided line. The first section is knowledge, the second is thought, the third is belief, the fourth is imagining. And together we call opinion, the other two intellect. And as beginning, intellect is to I'm sorry, beginning becoming. All right, so intellect is to opinion, and then so knowledge is to belief and thought and to imagine. Let me read this. It says, "It will therefore be enough to call the first section knowledge, the second thought, and the third belief, and the fourth imagining, just as we did before. The last two together we call opinion. The second two intellect. Opinion is concerned with being with becoming intellect with being, and as being is to becoming. So intellect is to opinion, and intellect is to opinion. So knowledge is to belief, and thought is to imagining. That's what I wanted to essentially point out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, your thought, your
As for me, even listening back to that, like learning this type of I can't talk today. Language. It's still very hard to understand some of these concepts and wrap my head around them. Uh, because I'm trying to understand the forms of thought in which this case, Plato's, or yeah, the Republic's trying to describe. But yeah, it's quite fun trying to learn all this information.
okay, but Einstein said, okay, well, this is a different approach here. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. But what that meant, right, in essence, is that you learn everything, right? You learn everything, like being a math major, right? You learn everything, right? And then if you're presented with a problem, you have to imagine using the tools you've gathered knowledge, right, to figure out the problem. That's what Einstein was, but that's straight logic. Okay, what you're doing, well, what this is doing is basically, it's not telling you outright that there is a difference between the figurative and the literal. And which are you discussing? Otherwise, two people would be talking past each other, not realizing which foundation, right, the statement is made from. Again, an opinion could
And
be
what
an
it sounds like
opinion,
he's
or
trying to basically
feel about something.
sounds like he's trying to basically say what you're talking about, period, is like almost pointless. Well, bringing up like Einstein and his quote, and let alone just mentioning Einstein, seeming to be more appealing to a scientific authority. There's nothing wrong with talking about scientists, but it seems like he's trying to, in a way, talk more about that than what you're talking about.
Yeah, it does seem like a two different conversations. I'm having one of philosophy, and he's having one of religion.
Which,
It
which I
seems
will
kind of
say,
messed up because like the Christians talking about philosophy, yet the atheist and the unbelievers talking about religion. It's like, wait, shouldn't you guys be flipped reverse?
yeah. Well, also I was gonna say when it comes to like, what's it called, philosophy and science. When it comes to them, science is like obviously the study of the natural world and all that, and philosophy is just these different ideas and concepts and whatnot. Some of them quite
Well,
often tying into the sciences, but then also
by
both
my
scientists and
understanding,
philosophers kind of have butt heads a lot.
the way I like it how, in a sense, Socrates puts it in the book, it's like scientists ask the why, and philosophy gets to the know, like to the knowledge of it, to the we know why. You're like you ask the why, but we get to the know. That's like the you discover it, and then we'll sort it out, or something like that. Is how they nonchalantly put it, in a sense. It's the figuring out of everyone's turnkey, I guess. If anyone gets that reference.
Well, it's also like I forgot where I heard the quote from, but basically talked about science and its relationship to say God and all that. So I forgot exactly what the quote was, but I think it was something like this, where science explains how the world works and how God made set up our world. So, when it comes to God as being why it is that way.
Don't you mean the how? Or would God be the how? Otherwise, because other than God,
No,
something along those lines.
the why being the reason why is because this is how God set it up, and the how would be how the world works. How does the volcano function? Why do the bones move that specific way and other stuff like that?
All right, cool. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh man, there's some stuff in my credit. All right, let me click play. Sorry about that. Exactly.
Based on
Because
right,
also,
because I
if
want to
someone
right,
says something, sorry to interrupt, but if someone also claims something to be a foundation, that's what exactly the dialect is used for, to actually see if it's the actual foundation of something or not, if it's based on something else. So, like that's saying, ice forms where it's cold, right? well, we know that it's cold, therefore ice, but that's not where ice comes from. You need like the third element, which is water, in order to form the ice. So the foundation of ice would have to start off with water instead of it just being cold. Like for an easy example, at least I hope I did that right. If in my understanding of like using dialect to break up to find out a foundation, I might actually use that on my paper. If that's correct. Hey, P Mars also. Fun fact: I did not use that on my paper.
Einstein sucks.
Okay, just prove him wrong, and I'll agree with you. The moment you prove the man wrong, the moment you prove E equals MC squared, a complete fallacy, you got my vote. Until then, I disagree.
Einstein was made famous by the media in 1990.
I'm going to say something real quick.
The scientific.
Thing is, many like people down here have literally stopped taking PMAR seriously at all. Like if PMAR says something, everybody it's just to people it's just that's just typical PMARs being PMARs kind of thing, saying this stupid stuff. Usually to get a kick out of people. Well, Ronan seems to have not caught on to that and seems to always be like, well, prove it wrong kind of thing. It's like you're trying to argue with a brick wall. I'm not sure if you're trying to say anything because I don't hear anything and it's silent.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything at all.
Okay, well, I'm done.
All right, cool.
The scientific community at the time disputed the results. Like they didn't even agree with what the media was reporting.
But that's what you're supposed to do in science. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. I have a theory that I came up with, and I want anyone to challenge it.
He's a media creation. He's not a legitimate scientist. All of his ideas, too, people have argued were plagiarized from other scientists.
I agree with you that the media does not know the details or the depth or breadth of an idea, but over
the only
time,
reason he's famous.
Pause for a minute.
Created celebrities.
What's it called? I will kind of talk on it because I did bring it up in live chat. Of course, nobody looks at the live chat. It's that what's it called? One of the things P. Mars mentioned there is the whole, Einstein stole his theories from other people. That comes from, if you actually look at the source origin of those information saying that Einstein stole from other people, it comes from a bunch of anti-Semitic, information trying to say Einstein is a fake and all that. Of course, because he is Jewish. And then the funny thing is, P. Mars saying that, well, he's not a real scientist kind of thing. To P. Mars, even if he was a real scientist, he would still be bad to him because P. Mars doesn't like scientists.
All right. I'll go ahead and press play.
Okay, but then again, the scientific community came to a consensus and agreed, yes, this works. And it's still working to this day. They use part of that idea to create the computers we are using right now. So how can you, again, please, if you can break the whole idea, right, of E equals MC squared into something else that's
well,
better.
actually, it's actually, that's where everyone gets it wrong, is that it's not, in this line of thinking, the idea of E equals MC squared has nothing to do with Einstein. Einstein was just lucky enough to recognize what E equals MC squared. He actually just discovered it in a sense, but it's technically, if anything, it's supposed to be there. But he wouldn't necessarily be like an influence onto to the idea, is what I'm saying. I had a quick question. Do you understand what I'm trying to say there?
Basically, that it already existed and Einstein just discovered it.
Essentially, yeah. Like, but does that make sense? Even because I'm not, I'm probably just as a layman as P. Mars is.
Well, that is actually good, fair, information to see right there. That the idea is that all this stuff already existed, just somebody discovered it.
I think that's the whole point of it. Like I was going with that way with like in the sense for ideas and forms and thoughts. I think I tie it up here with spirit here, in a second. Like he would just be the visuality in which we came to recognize
like
E equals MC squared.
Darwin never came up with the idea of evolution either. It was this guy named Wallace, but they just attached Darwin's name to the idea.
To address what you're saying, I'm using a quote by Sir Isaac Newton, and he said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Which means, yeah, you're right about Einstein. He gathered these ideas, came up of a way to put them together, maybe added a little bit of his own because of inspiration, imagination, and came up with a new idea. Same thing with Newton. He studied everything that had been established and then built upon that. Like myself, I studied what they did, and I built upon that. I came up with a theory, and it goes from there. That's science.
Yes.
You always challenge it. You always test it.
What I'm trying to convey.
So isn't that just like couldn't that be said of the same thing, like kind of like what people like in a sense religious people get blamed for taking things for what they want and then cherry picking, adding in their own bias to suit their narrative? Like isn't that like
Yeah,
the same
definitely
thing?
something
It's
that
like
it's
people doing that. Like is that the same
over
thing almost?
however something. Yeah, it is something you see quite a bit. However, when it comes to like this, something that would be considered like the imagination and all that will be called first taking the already existing information and then coming up with your own theory to be inferring things like, okay, this is possibly what happened because we see, say, vegetation that's existing today, relocating animals today. So where we can infer it would have happened in the past, probably helping monkeys get from different continents. It's that's where the hypothesis is formed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still kind of using your ideas, coming up with different ideas on all that, which is really not that big of an issue when it comes to specific stuff of the
You
topic
gotta
at
fill
hand.
in, fill in the gaps somehow, correct? Like if
Yeah,
there are any, you gotta fill them in. See
until
if it works.
say something new comes along showing otherwise,
Oh
or
yes,
proving what you're saying is actually happening to be correct.
that's like something I said about. We were discussing this earlier about the evolution and something about the grass somewhere. Do you remember that conversation
Yeah,
from earlier? Yeah, and how someone was denying something because they had changed their information because they have received new information
yeah,
to adapt to the new information to accept it. And then the person was getting mad at the fact that people were doing that, adapting it instead of sticking to their ignorant ways instead of forming to the new information. It's like, how do people do this, and how do you remain in that ignorance? It's just mind-boggling.
yeah.
But anyway, let's continue.
I don't know if were you addressing PMARS more than me, right, Ronan?
Yeah, I was addressing
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry. All right, then
No,
I don't know.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you understand what point that I was trying to make,
Clearly,
though?
clearly.
Okay,
Yeah, clearly.
cool. All right. But just for everyone else in case they do, the point that I was trying to make about Einstein and the EMC square is that it's like saying this is the number 3. Although you have shown us what three can be representative as, it's not actually what 3 is, the idea, because it can't be seen. It's not. It's intelligible, but we can't see 3.
My speech impediment. It can't be Sheen. Apparently, it's Sheen. It's a name. It's not seen, guys, but Sheen. Yeah.
It's
We
an
can prove.
idea.
We can prove.
We can prove
three.
it. Yeah, we can prove
Yeah,
3. We can
okay,
see
right,
3. We
right.
can prove
Well,
3.
okay, okay.
In some sense, that's another thing. 3. We can see what three things are, but not actually 3 itself.
Right. Well, okay. Let me get
3
this
types
clear.
of things, 3 different things, but it's not actually 3. It's one of those weird things. So,
Yeah. Well, let me get this
but I'm
clear.
still trying to understand. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no. To be clear, science proves nothing. Nothing. It only explains things. That's it. That's it for science. It only explains. This is what we see. This is what we can agree upon, and it's up to anybody else. It's welcome. It's welcome to test that. Test it.
Essentially, what Socrates says is that's the position of philosophy, is that they come up with you guys come up with the theories, we see if they're true.
Right.
Essentially, is
Right.
how
Right.
it's
Right.
supposed to be used. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Never studied the lad. Never studied Socrates. So, but this is good. This is really good.
I know it's kind of I find it ironic that like me being 30 in the proper sphere that like Socrates would want, or at least in the book, how like if they want people to learn this is the proper age for them to learn it. Like I'm like right in the ballpark of the
Talk about irony.
indoctrination, and it's crazy.
Are you
That has me
getting
concerned, like,
indoctrinated?
like in a sense, philosophy, you are in a sense indoctrinated into it. It's not.
Does
That's
it
not
conflict
true.
with your religious views?
I don't think so.
Well,
I don't
the
think in
reason
a
why
sense philosophy could ever get in the way of anyone's like religious belief. It doesn't seem like it could.
the reason why I asked, right?
I think what I meant by that is because people have their own philosophical worldview, right? So, however that works, if you're working off your own bias, how can your own bias work against you? To me, asking that question it doesn't make sense. Like I can see what
And
he means.
also,
Like if it's an opposing philosophy, in a sense, then sure, yeah, that might make
oh
sense.
yeah, well yeah, if
But
it is like say Hermeticism being a opposing philosophy, particularly ones that would agree with that book, Dream of a Thousand Cats. That would be considered something that you would say contrary to, say, the Bible. While other philosophies, especially a good portion of Platonic philosophy, the early church itself, particularly Alexandria, had no issue with it. And people like Augustine had no issue with it. Only certain parts that they just didn't, accept or anything. Like say they pondered it at one point but don't accept it. Say the immortal soul. They pondered it at one point, but like, yeah, no, this isn't really a thing. Throw that out. Or another one being the pre-existent soul.
Right. All right, let's continue on here.
What'd you say?
Can't, I say somewhere in philosophy, you have to start off in a neutral ground, right? You gotta be neutral. You can't have any biases or anything like that. But in some ways,
That's not necessarily true.
I don't think it can be neutral. We all have a bias.
Well, the whole thing of it, right, is for philosophy is the love of wisdom. If we go by the dialectics to search up for
We'll
the
pause
truth,
for a minute.
gauging these things. So in a sense,
In a way, it's absolutely impossible to be, unbiased. Because everybody's going to have a form of bias, whether you're secular or not. Secular, you're going to be biased towards secularism and all that. But the idea of saying not putting your bias into it is a different thing, where you're reading it and you don't try to force, say, interpretation on it, a death of the author kind of thing, where you don't try to say, this is what
Right.
this philosophy is saying. You got to say, this is what the philosophy says, and this is how it is. Don't try to force anything onto it.
Yeah, there's
Now
no
you
adding
can,
on or taking away.
you can,
It's just wholly
yeah,
the I
but
think
you
people can do
can,
that.
but you can expand upon it, as you see with Augustine. He expanded on Platonic philosophy and came up with the idea of the non-existent, the non-entity known as evil.
Right.
if you're making arguments, and if you're on position, if you're holding to a right idea, let's say again, let's go back to the three. If you're saying 2.5 is equal 3, then you can't say that the philosophy that 2.5 is actually 3 without having to actually back that up. Again, because so in some sense you have to have that truth into it. Although if we couldn't find the truth that 3 wasn't exactly 3, but somewhere near 2.5, then we both be at a loss. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm conveying that well. You're cutting out, I think.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
If me and you were talking about the theory of evolution, right? And we're starting off from when, hold on 1 second.
Oh, I ran out of seconds. Crap.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that better? Yeah, if me and you were talking about the theory of evolution. That's the theory of evolution. And we were talking about how humans evolved to become humans, right? And you have this biased idea that humans did not evolve to become humans. Humans were created to become humans. How could we ever?
Why can't we switch it up in the hypothetical? Why can't you hold this view? Why do I have to be example?
The reason why is because science explains that humans are created. They evolved.
See that I don't know if that was like a Freudian slip or not, or something like that, because I'm like, he said the science shows that humans are created. I'm like, doesn't he mean evolve instead of create? I think he slipped right
I
there.
think he meant involved, but that wouldn't be considered like a Freudian slip. That would just be a mess up in words, because a Freudian slip is letting something that you believe in slip out, which he's obviously atheist, so he doesn't believe in that.
Well, he's technically. Well, I don't know. I don't want to. I know
I
that
know
he
what you would
was.
say
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get. Yeah.
Either way, so with that right there, you obviously see that because the word created he is trying to throw it around a couple times with specific ideas. So it is in his mind, so it can come out by accident on the wrong part. You know how that happens.
Of course, yeah.
But what's it called? The whole what he's trying to do is, I noticed that's called a fallacy. I keep on forgetting what it's called. But there's a specific logical fallacy that where you try to force a belief onto somebody that they didn't hold, a position they did not hold.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was pointing out there, because I knew he was going to Young Earth when he talked about evolution, and I was like, well, hold up, why do I have to hold on to this thing in the hypothetical? Why can it not be you? Like, why? This is your thought experiment. Why are you giving me your so-called bad stick? Like, shouldn't you be taking your own bad stick since it's your example?
Yeah, and there's also, aside from him trying to force it onto like your position, because even though we both know you obviously don't believe in that.
Yeah.
There's also the whole he's trying to force specifically young Earth creationism as what the Bible teaches.
As well, yeah, I forgot what that too. Yeah.
As it being the interpretation. and that if you, in a way, try to go against it, you're going against the Bible yourself. Well, evolution is absolutely impossible to be, you know, something that the Bible can support.
Yeah, it's like
Get rid of us.
it's like evolution can't play for two teams or something like that. You know, something like along those lines.
Yeah, which I will touch on a bit, so you just keep it going.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
how can me and you
It's unfair. I
ever?
mean,
Yeah, how
that's
can
kind
me
of a
and you
hard.
ever?
I have to pull myself out of my own bias though in order to like kind of approach that. So it's kind of hard. See, that's the dangers of
That's
dialogue.
exactly what
I
I'm
have to
saying.
pull myself. Yeah, yeah. See, so in order to do that, because I tend to, I'm not like a young Earth creationist that don't believe in evolution type. So it's like I can't hold to that position. So it's one of those. I'd have to step out of my frame of work in order to suss that out. I think
Yeah,
you
that's
would
what I
have to
meant
do
by
too. So yeah.
yeah, that's
But
what I
that
meant by
wouldn't.
you have to let go of some of your
Go ahead.
biasness. You know, if you want to, you know, I guess.
Well, this is what Socrates says in a sense with the allegory of the cave. He says that philosophers would be able to make their way out of the cave. Some would try to go back, and like philosophers most likely would never go back to the cave. But the king, in the sense of a philosopher king, would have to take that descent back in the cave to rule, in a sense, to get everyone. I like to say in the sense of getting anyone else out of there, because if you escape, then you might as well try to go back for everyone else. But again, in doing so, they might try to kill you for doing that, for trying to show them the truth. Some people want to remain in ignorance. They don't want to. Ooh, P Mars got booted. Sorry, P. If that was me, I apologize. I don't mean to. I'm in work, so I hardly ever look at my phone. Anyway, I lost my point with that, but that's all right.
It came to a
It
point
goes with the
where
cave. Hold up, it goes with the cave.
if you're speaking, you might want to turn on a mic or something.
Oh, sorry. I said was that you or was that you in the video?
In the video.
Okay.
And so having to go back into the cave, it's that exact. You have to put up some of the old biases that you used to hold. Like if you hold a bad bias, you're gonna have to realize what they were in order to get people out of this cave, or they're never gonna be able to get the way out. And it seems like there's no benefit in going back. Into going to the cave. And I kind of see it like in this, right? This whole dialectic conversation in a sense. But go ahead, whoever had to talk. Mr. Elizabeth.
I was actually going to point out, what's it called? Nathan was about to make a false comparison when he started asking about evolution because last time I checked, Tog is an NYC. So that would be a false comparison. Which during that time when he started saying all that stuff.
When it becomes a false comparison,
Let's pause for a minute.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking.
During that, obviously you can see during that time, I didn't hear what you said out there, but I was coming in real quickly and then of course setting it up so I could bring that up and point it out.
Oh yeah, you came in like a 10. You like, listen here, fallacy holder. I'm gonna call you out. You were like, now listen here, Jack. Yeah, I pointed that out too. See, I gotta learn my vocabulary. I need to create a list of all the fallacies because I think I know some of them. I just don't know what they're called, and I can point them out. Like, look, you know, this is an error in your thinking. Let me try to help. But then again, I make those same errors too. I'm just as bad. I like making a lot of them probably. All right, let's continue here.
Talking about, we'd have to slip out of that bias in order to engage for the search of the truth, the dialectics. And some people, they just can't handle it. Like I just said, like, I don't know if I'm able to jump out of that dialectic in order, or that my position in order to have the argument, because I just can't escape that bias of mine.
Hey, I have a question.
Go ahead, Beckel. Good to see
By the
you.
way, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I have a question for Nathan.
Good morning, Beckel. How are you today?
Good, doing good. Feeling blacker than ever.
Happy Good Friday,
But,
my brother.
Yeah, and by the way, happy post Atheist Day for you as well. I wanted to ask you. You made a positive claim saying that humans are not created. So I just wanted to know what's your evidence for that?
Well, that's what scientists claims. They have
I mean,
no
that's
evidence.
stupid.
What's the evidence?
It's actually irrational to say that humans are not created when, again, we can do things in labs for certain things, like take away certain features. I mean, not necessarily things, but there are things that done that we can, in a sense, create humans how we want.
Pause for a minute.
We can do that to all animals, though.
Well, also what he's trying to say is that humans are not created. Because what he's trying to basically talk about is the Genesis truth. Humans were created in the image of God, which, as we talked about off air, is that the image of God is not a physical thing. It's not what we look like. It's the position or that call that humans are called to. And if you try to do the whole, well, the image of God is the human form,
Do you?
it doesn't make sense because you also have angels often taking that form, and it would also be saying that God's form is human.
I'll have to have
You're about
another
to say
off
something?
air. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have to have another off air talk, but you all ask a question later. But yeah, let's continue.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Evolution.
But now, I mean,
So
to say that it isn't a thing, I think is bastardization of it, because I think we can do that now with the science available. So it's
I'm
not
not-
out of the realm of possibility.
Well, I'm not making a negative or positive claim. It's a question because he made a positive claim. So I'm just
Well,
wondering.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying. I think it is
Well,
possible.
the
So
theory
my
of
bad. I should butt
evolution,
out.
the
You said
theory
that
of
they're not created.
evolution,
Humans are not created. So,
explains that humans had a common ancestor, and humans evolved, from
it's
that
a theory,
common
though.
ancestor, just like any. And yeah, theory in a colloquial sense is different from a theory in scientific sense. Theory in the scientific sense is almost like it's
Yeah,
I don't know,
evolution
it's
is a
almost-
fact.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's
humans
this right here.
It's not necessarily a fact. It's just a running guess.
No,
Pause for a minute.
It's a
considered
fact.
well, I haven't seen any
Anyway,
evidence of it.
I think I'm
I haven't
talking
seen
about
any
the word
evidence.
hypotenuse
Talk.
or theory.
haven't seen any
which one it is.
I haven't seen the evidence of it.
I don't believe in evolution, but I wouldn't argue.
You say pause.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's it called? I was actually trying to comment on with the whole evolution thing. We kind of just got done trying to point out the distinction between it. Here we have Beckel come in here. So at one point he says he's not younger creationist, but then he's doing the whole evolution. We don't know if that's true or not, kind of thing, kind of negating what we just said. So yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That it's not a fact. Like it's
No, evolution
accepted.
is real, but when we say evolution, what type of evolution are we talking about? We're talking about.
The evolution that shows that.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. When we say evolution, are we talking about the type of evolution that most atheists assert, meaning that man and elephant have a common ancestor, or are we talking about on a more minor scale, where you see minor changes within
Adaptation.
species?
Like
But
adaptation.
yeah, it's the same thing at the end of the day, Beckle. It just
No,
depends on
no,
how much time.
that's it. No,
Do you know?
no,
Yeah,
you
it
haven't.
depends on how much
So
time.
you don't have any evidence then. So you don't have evidence that man
I
and
don't-
dolphin.
Do you know what DNA is?
So you don't have evidence that man
I'm
and
trying to
dolphin
give you the
have a
evidence.
common ancestor. Okay.
You
No,
can't
what
even
you're
tell by
gonna
the
do?
DNA and the
No,
similarities.
No, what you're going to do is you're going to look at similarities and then make outlandish assertions that because you see similarities, therefore they must have a common ancestor. You know that's not a logical argument.
No, that is the evidence. How you know
That's
something
not,
related
well,
to
but that's not evidence that
You
proves your
check
claim.
the
Because I can,
Pause for a minute.
You have to use the DNA test, right?
So Nathan was trying to make an argument, but he was kind of doing bad, especially when he was trying to do the whole, what's it called? Talking about DNA and similarities. What something would actually have been better to more talk about is more of the idea of the scientific method. People always say science is testable, repeatable, and all that. You could have, in one way, somebody could see similarities, particularly when it comes to convergent evolution. But before we get to that, one thing I would probably have done is at least acknowledge, there is obviously the younger face that believe it's intelligently designed, meaning common design kind of thing. Obviously, that's what they say. But at the same time, these similarities between completely unrelated things is usually referred to as convergent evolution. And with these ideas can be seen, okay, we see wings in different manners, but still wings being formed several different times as a form of it being as a form of this science being repeated. That's just me trying to do a small steel man of what Nathan was trying to say.
Mhm.
that doesn't really validate your claim, though. All you're doing is looking at evidences. I mean, you're looking at similarities and you're claiming it to be evidence.
All right, Mr. Elizabeth, go ahead. After Beckel.
You see the evidence that he's referring to.
I like how I say that, and everyone just keeps going on and you're like, oh, okay, never mind then. Try to do a little bit of moderation since it doesn't work out. Like I said, I don't like that whole sense of you have to control a room or whatnot, but sometimes it seems like it's necessary. So it's one of those odd things,
It's the kind of evidence that shows us that a dromaeosaur can evolve into another dromaeosaur that starts having a beak like a duck, smaller web feet, but still has a sickle claw and has gained feathers to the point of becoming a duck. Also, there's different theories. While most atheists would hold to neo-Darwinian evolution, there are several different theories, and it's more than just one kind. Some of them even more so that sounded like intelligent design, but not of the way of younger creationism.
I think
Pause for a minute.
Are you?
Talk. Okay, so what I was basically referring to there, because I didn't have the thing, I have at least a couple of examples of what I was referring to, is that the theory of evolution is not the theory, but it's more like the theories of evolution, where there's several different theories. Some of them are held by a consensus, still not being an absolute truth, and more of a way to explain the how evolution works. You have Lamarckian, you have Darwinian, aka natural selection, you have neo-Darwinian evolution, which is a pretty common one today, which most atheists hold to. You have niche construction, evolution through symbiosis, evo-devo, and process structuralism. While one's like niche construction and process structuralism would be more akin to something that a order of creation is hold to, where it's like the evolution is going to repeat itself and life is inevitable kind of thing. And these designs are almost like an abstracta. The wing is an abstracta, and it's going to repeat in nature. No matter how many times life is going to repeat it somehow, fitting into the niche that this animal would be adapting to. Take, say, the crocodilian-like animal taking on the niche of a crocodile when crocodiles are gone, though it's not a crocodile. And some of these theories obviously line up with, of course, evolution, but also are compatible with the Bible. And then, funny thing is, people try to act like, oh, well, Christians were against this. Like, yeah, there was, and back in the day, you have what people consider fundamentalist Christians being against it. But then you also have people that were also Christian that had no problem with it. And even one of the co-founders of the theory, if many people consider, I forgot his name, but he's a specific Catholic who liked Darwin's work a lot and agreed with it. And the Catholic Church supported it a lot. The only thing they had a small issue with back in the day, saying, okay, you can't say humans evolved from, what's it called, apes. However, they changed their stance on that. And for the most part, a lot of scientists actually agree with evolution, let alone Christians. While, of course, you have your typical Ken Hovens, Ken Hams, so on and so forth, disagreeing with it. And even as people have pointed out with the advent of ancient Near East scholarship, as well as knowing of some older interpretations of scripture about, Genesis not being fully literal, let alone, what's it called, literal ages, things being older, is that what someone like inspiring philosophy has pointed out, the symbolism within a text is not that literal, but a lot of hyperbolic language and figurative language is used here, including for the word yom, which yom doesn't always mean the word day, apparently. And even for inspiring philosophy, he sees it as a attack on the pagan religions, Genesis 1 being that, saying God is the one who set up the cosmic temple, not these false pagan gods. And talking about the word he created more or less being putting somebody in that position, making them in that position.
Sorry, what was that last bit? You said putting them in a position instead of making that position?
Yeah. No. Like kind of making that position. Like they're already there. They've already existed for a while, which of course he points, inspiring philosophy points out, yes, there is New Testament verses that kind of really clarify, yes, God did create everything, literally. But then you also have with the Old Testament talking, what he's referring to is that the word made in these passages seems to be setting up the cosmic temple. Of course, that's how he sees it.
Yeah.
But then you also have like how anybody OCE would interpret it. The ages are ages to God. The days are 1,000 years or longer to God because time is meaningless to God. And then even like looking at it from a Christian perspective, you can come up with several different theories. Like say God created all the animals, and they were all there in Eden, but eventually went extinct, or they went extinct over time. And at the beginning, God started it, God guided it, or God started it knowing what was going to happen, kind of thing. Different ways of viewing evolution just from a Christian point of view, just by coming up with ideas on how it could have went.
True. All
All
right.
right, I'm done.
Talking
Wait, guys.
evolution.
guys.
Excuse me. Evolution is based on
It's
biology.
his channel. He said he had to say something.
Excuse me.
Wait, it's
Evolution.
not his channel.
Excuse me.
You might have to close it.
I'd like to make this one point because I think that the conversation is confused
He's gonna
here.
let you say something.
The conversation is confused here. The conversation is confused.
One reason why
Is
I
that glitching
wanted
out
to
for you too?
freaking what?
Was
I was
that
gonna
glitching out for you too?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, was that glitching out for you too?
I don't know. Maybe not. No, I just paused it to say the only reason why I let Ronan go first is because I'm old school. I like to let older people speak sometimes, like when they're in. So, but yeah, I like. It's technically true, but I want to call like a technical uh hypocrite type of deal. What goes on? It has to do with Vekla. He says, he's like how he comes and he's like, it's Todd Room. He's trying to speak and all that. Um, and then later on, he just bursts out and completely ignores uh something that I'm saying. It's echoing because I it does that. My bad.
Confused here because if you're saying the topic was evolution, so we're talking biology, not taxonomy, elephants and humans. Wait a minute, that's taxonomy. That's further down the road. So if you're going to confuse the conversation, thanks. But
Yeah, I want to point out something.
you're not
Evolutionary
talking biology. You're supposed to be talking biology because the topic
I wanted to
is
point out something.
evolution.
All right, I didn't know if that was actually you or you in the video.
Yeah, it's okay. Within that video, what I was trying to point out, though taxonomy doesn't directly tie into what's it called. Well, it isn't specifically like biology and all that, but it is still part of what's it called, science, and of course biology, and used within it. As though it's a categorization system, it is quite often based on evolutionary theory and whatnot, helping people classify where they classify, say, all right, these are the titanosaur. You have the titanosaur, and then you have this group, and then you have this subgroup and this subgroup, all being sauropods and whatnot. And a lot of it having to do with their evolutionary ancestry. While, say, something like a dire wolf was once considered in a certain classification similar to that of a wolf, it has been reclassified based on what has been learned about what it's more closely related to. So it does tie into biology and evolution specifically. Oh no, it's more close. The dire wolf is more close to a dog.
Oh, it's more close to a dog than it is a wolf?
Yeah.
Give me a second. Sorry, I was having a sneezing conniption. That is absolutely crazy. So you're telling me that those big porkers were more akin to doggos than the actual wild wolf. That's crazy.
We could technically call it a dire dog.
So why would we, and how did they die off? That's my question. Where are these beautiful animals now, if that's the case?
Don't remember. It would probably have to do with the megafauna, probably.
All right. That's awesome, though. I did not know that. All right, let's continue on here. We only got a little bit left.
Evolution, not taxonomy.
We are talking biology and
I was actually
no.
Point
of order. I know P Mars wanted something to say. Go ahead, P Mars. Sorry, I was busy with something real quick.
I just want
P. Mars is the blackest man here. Go ahead.
real quick. Yeah, I just want to say the problem with evolution in my mind is it depends on this idea of survival of the fittest, which we know is not true because Mexicans like Tog exist.
This dude right here, man.
Okay, I don't know if that's you or my end, or just the video itself, because the video is kind of breaking up quite a bit.
Because especially.
What was that? Sorry.
I don't know if it's just on my end, or you, or something to do with the video, or the video itself, but it's breaking up on my end. Well, at least from what I'm hearing, I hear it breaking up quite a bit.
Here, let me redo the screen share crap. String irons must be having a fit. All right.
You being a black man yourself, the people that propagate most of the
That's better. That's better.
Usually hold to racist undertones.
Isn't that like one of those overgeneralization fallacies right there? Isn't that like an overgeneralization?
Yeah, but
It's not generalization fallacies.
And I'm Uncle Tom. Okay, gotcha.
People use it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, people use it for their advantage.
But yeah, and you embrace it. You widely embrace it. Yeah.
So can you explain the diversity of like all these species and everything
Yeah,
like
all
that?
right. Let me try to defend you a little bit.
Hold on,
Okay.
I'll just drop out myself real quick and come back, okay?
Then
Evan,
after,
go ahead.
hold up real quick. Sorry, real quick. After that, let's try to get back.
I'll
All right,
jump
go
out real
ahead. I
quick
heard
and
you.
come back.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Get back onto.
I'll go ahead and wait for him. There he is. All right, cool. All right, ready?
Okay, hopefully it's better, but I did want to comment on something. But yeah, so it's something I wanted to comment on. It's not going to say, oh, it has to do with racism and all that kind of thing. That's that thing I was going to talk about, off here with you, with the whole generalization fallacies. That being an example of it, where no, not generalization fallacies, a guilt by association fallacies that evolution is evil or wrong because it's associated with many people that misuse it, particularly eugenics, social Darwinism, and other stuff like that. And then people try to attack the writing itself, the text itself. However, that's more of a presentism fallacy, trying to impose our modern day standards onto the past. Because you got to understand, what's the past. This was kind of something that wasn't that big of a deal back then. To many people, this was the norm.
All right. All right. All right.
Anyway, let's go.
The dialectic, please. I know we kind of
Oh,
strayed
okay,
off
okay.
topic. Just
My
saying.
bad. My bad.
But go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
okay.
ahead.
I
Okay,
like that.
sounding
Right?
better to me.
I like that about the whole dial. Let's get back to the dialects. This is the part that I was talking about.
Finish up your guys' point. Go ahead.
No, I'll stop there because it's going to open up a whole other can of worms, and we can get back to your topic. Sorry about that.
Darwin was a racist and a sexist.
And Nathan
Topic
loves
is
it.
evolving.
And we're the Uncle Toms. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
We want to
Gotcha.
regress it back. It's not ready for change.
We got this black guy over here defending Darwin.
I should have never said that right there. We must regress it back, right? I fucking jinxed it. I should have never have said that because it gets so terrible. I don't even know if I want to even just play the next bit of it because it's still festering in my skin. My skin still has blisters and boils from this. So it's like I don't even know if I want to continue to play what goes on after this, to be honest. It's just such a shonda that, yeah. I must, though. The show must continue. Go ahead.
And we're over here talking about black people doing good for themselves, and we're the South. Gotcha.
Isn't that like a presentism fallacy?
No.
Gotcha.
You know,
Nope.
if the story of the Garden of Eden is true, like technically we would be devolving, right? Because it was perfect in the garden.
And we are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
That's why you
What's
get
evolving
atheists.
too?
That's why. Where do you think atheists come from?
Monkeys, I think. I think we're turning into monkeys. Is what's happening.
Yeah, that's why you get atheists.
Dialectics.
Well, see, I don't think it could be
Don't
because
you
we
just
were
love
originally
how
monkeys. I don't think we're turning.
Don't you just
We're turning
love
back.
Did you say pause or no? I guess
Yeah, I'm
not.
live chat because there's obviously live chat. Can we live chat here at Robotty, or is that just still me?
I don't know. It might just be you. No idea.
Either way, let's go.
Back
False
into
comparison
monkeys.
that we're classified as monkeys or anything, or we came directly from monkeys rather than we are actually primates, particularly apes, and we came from apes and we are still apes.
That's exactly what a monkey would say.
Monkeys have tails.
It's
You
even
think you're a baboon?
it's even funnier when he evolves into Mr. Monkey, right?
Yeah, you should change
Oh, that thing.
That's actually the plot to the Super Mario Brothers movie. Is that like we're devolving and they create a de-evolution gun or something?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
The dumbest down or
And he
whatever.
turns us into.
I may have fixed the problem if it was echoing. I forgot that OBS has its own stupid little audio toggle, so I just turned those and muted those off, so it might be fixed now if there was any noise. If so, it wouldn't have been the whole video. So, oh well. I mean, this is just a rerun with commentary. It's not supposed to be anything like really buff or anything like that. So, yeah.
The dinosaurs, yeah, like Yoshi.
Isn't that Battlestar Galactica with what's his fucking face? That
Probably.
one actor.
They put,
You know,
the,
they
they
do
put
one
the
thing-
truth in science fiction to hide it in plain sight.
Yeah, right.
Communism,
Or just a bad Mario movie.
No, that was actually a pretty decent Mario movie.
Mario was a communist.
Well, all I know is Uncle Ruckus watches freaking Matt.
Anyway,
Oh boy,
Here comes the racist.
what do you got? How do you guys think dialectics has had an effect?
You know,
on
hold on a
your
second. I want to say
arguments
something,
online?
Mr. I want to say something, Mr.
See, and that's where it just. This is where it kind of de-evolves.
Okay, I'll be right back. I am the one. It's on my end. I can tell. I'll be back again.
All right. I'll just sit here and wait. Yeah, this is where the episode de-evolves, and just I had no idea what was going on again, because I'm usually at work doing these things, not really paying attention that much to the side chat, just hearing here and there and paying more attention, my surroundings. So it's really upsetting that like I didn't catch what was going on and the way this kind of went down and transpired. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me having this feeling, but it's just an odd bit that happens. I don't think stream should de-evolve like this and just end
Okay, I'm back.
complete crap hole. But yeah,
So yeah, it seems to be on my end because your thing was loading on my end as well as the thing, and I heard the audio still playing, but the video was paused. So I'm guessing that was the Uncle Ruckus part.
yeah. I just stopped it when you called him Uncle Ruckus before anything else. Kind of escalated even more.
Well, that is like I did, like I said, I did kind of make a mistake there. I promised I wouldn't be calling him that in your stream, only in live chats at least, but not in like your live streams. So that was kind of my bad. And yeah, I kind of really spiraled out of control from there.
I tell you guys, let's watch it, but you really should just go see it for yourself. I don't want to show it. I mean, it's funny for the most part, but I don't like it. It leaves a shit stain in my underwear. Like it's bad. Like if I
That
can
was
be
really-
gross for a second, it just leaves this nasty feeling.
But it was
Go
really
ahead.
all we were kind of, aside from like the very ending of that was mostly just where it spiraled out of control kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's really
like,
most
that's where-
commentary that there was to have. The rest of it is just like, all right, point and laugh.
yeah, it's like at that point it just gets to like someone just threw a chair, right? Stink bomb. The shit hit the fan at that point. All right,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and watch it. Budget.
Oh, if you want to.
You're a faggot. That's what you are. I'm gonna call you Mr. Faggot every time I see you.
I'm not
You are a
bundle of
faggot.
sticks.
Shut up. You are a
And
faggot. How about
lizard.
that? Shut up, Mr. Lispy Faggot. That's what you are.
Becco, come on.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
You
No,
want
because
to-
hold on a second. No. We've explained this to this dude many times that when you just can't arbitrarily call a black person a Mr. Ruckus. Okay?
Why is that?
We've already explained this to you, and you know.
I never heard that.
You've all
Here is something I wanted to comment on right here.
Go ahead. That's why I said I wanted to
Oh,
play
but
it up. I knew
Jesus.
you might want something to say, so I figured.
Well, that was like one of the few things I actually wanted to say something about. Of course, I couldn't say anything because, over talking. But one of the things I want to say is that arbitrary, this is not just some kind of arbitrary thing I call him. I call him that because of experience with him. And it's only Jill.
That's a fair point. You only call that whatever.
referring to Jill as Mr. Ruckus. I'm going to continue to call him Faggot. That's what he is.
But I'm not a bundle of
It
sticks.
is
What you guys gonna do
but
about
it's
it? What you guys gonna do about it?
So we can call you Coon?
You already do that, you faggot. You do that too, you faggot.
Coon or sellout?
That's what you already do that, you faggot.
What the fuck, guys?
Come on, man.
Talk, control this dude.
You got me porn star. You got me porn star.
Sorry, P. Mars.
One that was just like way too far. Hello, you there? I don't know if I can hear you or you can hear me.
Sorry.
Are you muted or not?
Better? Yeah, I muted.
Okay,
My bad.
that's
How
better.
do people
Okay.
allow themselves like to just get so defensive on someone else's behalf? Just like that. Like that empatheticness went a little bit too far and I think it stabbed them in the foot. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but I don't think it needed to escalate to those levels. I mean, if it was a transgression, right, it should have been done in private, for one. So it shouldn't have even be escalated. I mean, we talk about standards of Christianity, and then where is it being shown? And it certainly isn't here, or at least the people that come here as well. You know, and I don't necessarily try to hold to a standard, but I do believe that people should because I don't know what that standard is because I haven't been shown it yet, except by Christ. So I try to see that, but it's really hard to see it within everyone else when all this shit goes on. It's really sad. And like I said,
Yeah.
it really hurts to just sit here that this is no longer something that I'd even want to do anymore because it's just what's the point? So it's like, what is this deal? That people can't control themselves and stuff. I don't know. It's just very upsetting.
Well, no, that would come basically at the end of it. There are two
Essentially, yeah.
choices: end the stream or let the people end up been asking to join. Because there's actually been people asking to join.
Oh, I guess we could. I got like
Start up the
I
trash
got half an
again.
hour.
Set the
Yep,
fire on.
set the fire. Yep.
Well, well,
I got
as
like
you,
half an
if
hour.
you do that, are you going to do that? I don't know.
Huh? Yeah, I'll do it. Let me post it.
Okay, and I'll quickly jump out and jump back, and maybe after that, the video is gone. I can catch up and hear more clearly.
All right. Also, I just think I'm a little big baby too, and I just need to get over myself. Like that's crossed my mind. Like, just shut up, Tog. Just deal with it, you big fucking child. So there's that as well. I think maybe I'm just being overreactive and a little bit of a baby with my own emotions. All right, there we go. Hello,
I have
Ronan.
returned.
Oh, my shoulders. Hello, Ronan. I don't know if you heard me or not. Is my mic on? Yes, it's on. Okay, cool.
Yes, your mic is on. Maybe Ronan's mic is off.
No, I can hear him clicking.
Arise, Ronan, and speak.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
So
Hey,
you
Ronan.
so you all were viewing that chaos, eh?
yeah.
Dumpster fire. That's what they call it.
I mean, I can understand myself being, rude, but people who support a specific ideology shouldn't be, acting out that way. I do agree.
What's up, Abel?
Welcome, Abel. I see how it is. Don't say a word. I see how it is. Is that how everybody's gonna be? They're just gonna come in here, not say a word for a
Uh,
bit, and then say something.
do you need me to? Probably needs me to mute. Turn off this crap. Hold up.
Awaken.
The video, he has bad internet sometimes, so I know that. So I'll just turn that off.
Ah,
Make it easier for him. Let me turn off the background and make it less movementy.
Hmm.
I can do that. I'm a Chad. Give me a second. I have still frame. There we go. That might make it easier. Hey, Richard.
Peace and respect, everybody.
Peace and respect, Richard Benson.
How you doing, boss?
I'm well, thank you.
I want to go ahead and flush out what I started that chat with you in the side chat. If you're interested.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so the first placental mammal, apparently 160 million years ago, something they're calling Juramia sinensis, whatever those words mean, and I don't speak Latin, so I have no idea. But pretty much a shrew-like animal, 160 million years ago. And you found what?
I'm not sure I can pronounce it correctly, but hold on.
They are hard.
It's ichthyosaur. It was an ichthyosaur. Yeah, well, I just did a search, and that's the first statement in one of the articles. Okay, that's as far as I know.
So the ichthyosaur is like a swimming lizard kind of a critter.
Yes,
smooth skin swimming lizard, if I remember right.
Yes. A streamlined swimming lizard.
Yes, a streamlined swimming, somewhat sexy. I'm trying to think of S words, but anyway, ichthyosaur. Okay, so that's at 248 million year ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think with this information that you and I just looked up, being the first reptile type placental animal, and then I looked up the first placental mammal, and we have dates of 160 and 248 million year ago, that it would make sense if I had found, if I claimed that I had found 541 million years ago. 541 million years ago, I dated that I'd found a placental fish. Do you think that would make sense?
Well, again, if you're saying that, okay, but I mean, do you have evidence? Do you have information that I can look into? It's something that I'm not that familiar with, but I'm curious to know.
So 541 million years ago would put it in the Cambrian layer.
Okay.
That's where that would put it. Does it make sense to you if we found a animal that gives live birth in amongst 10 major body plans where everything else laid eggs? Would that make sense to you?
Possible, yeah. I'm not sure because, I mean, they know a lot of information, far more information nowadays, but they don't know everything. They've just scratched the surface. So it's
of course
hard.
We don't know everything, but
no,
that's
yeah.
The science. So Dawkins. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
So Dawkins said that if we found a skeleton of a bunny rabbit in with dinosaurs, that would just destroy the theory. Do you think that's a reasonable statement by Dawkins?
Yes.
Now, dinosaurs were about 60 million years ago, right? Roughly. And bunny rabbits should have been only about 15 million years after that. So a 15 million year gap.
Okay.
We good?
Good.
Okay. So say a 15 million year offset is just too much to believe. That's what he's really saying there.
Why?
Why is it too much for him to believe?
Well, yeah, because
because it's 15 million years out of time. It shouldn't be there.
Well, no, we don't know.
Wait, I'm actually curious. Is this an actual quote?
The science does not know.
Yeah, it's an actual quote.
Sounds dumb, given what I know.
Well, again, the science does not know. There's a gap. I agree. And then the rabbit just popped up. Okay, it's something in there in that gap led to the rabbit, but science hasn't found that yet.
So you're willing you're willing to concede that we could be wrong about the dates by 15 million years. That would be
Surely.
okay with you.
Surely.
What about 100 million years?
With the sophistication nowadays, I'm not sure, but it's possible. It's
How
possible.
about 150 million years? How about that?
It is possible because the sample could be contaminated, and it'll give a false reading. So there's
No. We're talking about body plans here. We're not talking.
Well, I'm
about
talking about looking. No, I'm talking about looking into the history, right? Looking at those layers, finding out what's there, and figuring out how to name it, classify it, so on and so forth. Like I said, it's incredibly difficult to do to that degree. There's gaps. There's going to be gaps. It's a big puzzle that there are pieces missing. Yes.
That makes sense to me. No, I agree with you, in principle, generally speaking. So, I mean, I can see something being, I don't know, maybe a crack opened up and it fell down into a deeper layer, and it's 15 million years off for that reason. But that wouldn't be conclusive that we find one. We'd have to find several. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So I think when it comes to dating rocks and permineralized fossils and actual bone when we find it, and using the several different ways that we have of testing with radiometric methods, that we should be within, we should be easily within 50,000 or 50 million years for sure, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Depending on the what you're using, to test with.
Wait. Are you saying that we use inappropriate testing methods? Or are you saying the testing methods aren't sure? What do you mean by that?
No. Different testing methods have like different standards, right?
They have different scales. Same standards with different scales.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask a quick question. Did you say, rabbit if it was in the Mesozoic era, or did you say a different era?
I said what he generally said was, and no, I'm not reading it. It's not in front of me. Was if we found a bunny rabbit in with dinosaurs.
Okay. Because I was actually trying to look up a certain rabbit, but then I see mention of a Richard Dawkins quote that he said about rabbits having to do with evolution being false if we found a fossil rabbit in Precambrian rocks, not
in
Mesozoic
Precambrian rocks. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm getting that wrong. If we found a bunny rabbit in with Precambrian, that's the actual quote, right?
Yeah.
So what's significant about a bunny rabbit over, say, I don't know, something in the Cambrian layer? What's the difference?
Aquatic life.
Well, yeah, everything in the Cambrian layer was aquatic, yeah, but I don't think that's really the definitive measure of why a bunny rabbit is different. I mean, do you really? Because there are swimming mammals. There are swimming mammals that exist aside. I mean, what's that?
It also has to do with evolutionary time.
In evolutionary, and what significant changes happened between? Come on, man! Don't make me pry it out of you.
I'd like to know what
exist yet.
I'd like to know what you're getting at. You're setting something up, and
I'm definitely setting something up. Yes.
Yeah, but I just want to know what you're getting at. What you're leading to, I just don't understand. Based on the science today, if there was a claim, that they found bunny rabbit down in the Cambrian, obviously people would pay attention and ask for, details, information, a test, so on and so forth. Sure. And then they would, accept it or debunk it, one or the other. I don't know. But you're leading up to something, because if there's a gap.
I'm sorry. What's that?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So it's funny to me that if a religious person is introduced in, a logic puzzle about the Bible, and they search it out and they try to figure a way to justify what they find, then that's called ad hoc or begging the question. Right. But it's funny to me that we found a placental placard fish in the Cambrian layer. where there should have been only 10 major body plans, not including fish of any kind. No fish. Should have nothing fish-like. And we found a live birth-giving fish in with the Cambrian layer. And nobody blinked.
Well, again,
Nobody blinked.
Again, that that may have been the initial response, but there again in science.
What is this fish called? Do you know or no?
Yeah,
I'm just curious because I want to look it
Yes,
up.
I'd love to answer you. If you'd stop talking, I would already answer it. It's Materpieces attenboroughi. That's Mater.
Mater.
Pisces, like fish.
Pisces.
And it's named after David Attenborough. Attenboroughi.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the difference is that in science, right, they might not have blinked because, okay, we're going to reserve judgment until we test it, look it over, and there's a consensus, and that takes time.
It's already been done. This was years ago.
I'll draw in the comparison. Drawing the comparison here.
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you that's been done.
In the Bible, it makes claims, and once they're questioned, there's denial. There is denial involved. I'll give you an example, recent example that people were talking here about stoning this woman. The story where Jesus said,
Sure.
"Ye who has not sinned, cast the first stone."
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Here's the point that I'm making about that whole little story scenario, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
The woman was accused, okay? And then when Jesus said, did they do anything? Have they shown you anything? And she said, no. Okay, she was either lying to Jesus, and then Jesus said, he who has not sinned, cast the first stone, or she was telling the truth. And because thereafter he said, go and sin no more. Okay, that's confusing because, wait a minute. Why did they accuse her in the first place? Was it a false accusation? Then why would he tell her to not sin anymore if she was innocent in the first place? Again,
that's a good point,
and
Ronan.
then all these religious scholars start giving me all this babble to try to avoid facing the basic framework of that statement.
Can I face it?
Please, I just wanted to finish my sentence. You seem to want to dictate things.
No, you seem to repeat
people,
things, and
like
and
telling
I
them, well, if you
I'm
shut
sorry.
up, I tell you already. Well, how about a little
No, that's
patience
not
here?
Ronan.
How about
Ronan,
a little
that's
wisdom
not
and
what I'm
understanding
doing.
in Christ here? How about patience? No, I can read right through you, dude. I don't care about your
Ronan,
character.
you're repeating yourself again
I
right
know what
now.
you're doing. Again,
You're just
doing
repeating
that.
yourself
Now, okay,
again.
could you address
I didn't
the
want to
point
have
I
a
made,
fight
please?
with you. I don't want to fight.
I don't want to fight with you either, but you're coming
Then why
across
are you
like
doing
you're
it?
supposed to be, knowledgeable about this versus sharing information that we can all observe and test. That's the difference here.
I don't know why you're being so defensive. I just
No,
don't. I'm just not asking. I'm just asking you to stop
aggressive.
repeating yourself.
Okay, could you address the issue that I brought up with Jesus telling
Love
the
to.
woman to sin no more, please?
Look, I'm sorry. I have this mental problem where if someone starts repeating themselves, it's just not necessary,
Well, I'll put it this way. If you like that sophistication, I accept that because some people, in terms of communicating with others, need to be told a couple of times because they've never encountered the idea. And I do realize that about people. I don't know everything. And if I'm not patient enough to explain it to someone, really, I should be in an office somewhere writing out some brilliant works. Other than that, no, this is a social situation, sir. So again, if you lack the skill of patience, well then, okay, I suggest you
How about you and I cut a deal, Ronan?
because again, some people just don't understand where you're coming from.
How about you and I cut a deal with each other? Just between you and me. It doesn't apply to anybody else. How about this? You say it once, and then if I don't understand, I'll be honest and ask you questions.
No, because I said it once, you didn't address it in the first place. That's the point. The assumption is, I know you're aware. But you're trying to sidestep a little so you can work through the process versus facing what I just shared with you in a logical and reasonable manner. That's it.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, go ahead.
But I don't want to have fights with you. I'm trying to settle this because we keep having this, and I don't want to keep. I like you. I think you're a decent guy. Okay, but I don't want to keep having this argument with you. about when we should let the other person speak and when we should be quiet.
Okay, so apparently that fish was Devonian, however you say that, not Cambrian.
I wouldn't
Where's
mind.
the Devonian layer? Where's the Devonian layer?
2 layers above the Cambrian.
Okay, I'll have to recheck my dates, but I think the point still stands because it's so far out of place. But anyway, no, it's supposed to have been found in Queensland, Australia, in the Cambrian layer. If they're saying something else, I don't know what happened since then. But that's where it was literally found, is in Queensland, Australia, in the Cambrian layer. To answer to Ronan, and I think it's a good question. I really do.
Go-Go Formation, I guess it's called. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the name of one of them, I think. But to answer to Ronan saying, what the heck was Jesus and this woman and what's the deal? Okay. Stoning, which, Jesus is always correcting people what they thought the text was talking about. Stoning actually means to throw the book at them, to give them something that doesn't change at all ever, that has the word of God written in it. That's the description of a stone. Okay. So it doesn't mean literally a rock. It can't mean rock, in fact, because you can't write the word of God in a rock and not cut it and lift no tool upon it. And that's the requirements of what a stone is. Okay. So when Jesus says, sin no more, he's not defeating what he'd said prior, but he's not addressing actual having sex out of wedlock. That's not the topic. The topic is she being true to God, not is she being true to some man on the earth. That's who cares?
Okay, I found here that it says stoning was presumably the standard form of capital punishment in ancient Israel. So it's attested to in the Old Testament, as it says here, as a punishment for blasphemy, idolatry, and other crimes. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, you're saying it's not literal, it's figurative, and well, that's, I guess, a good argument. But in those days, that practice was in place.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're saying it wasn't because the Bible said so?
No, I'm not saying that didn't happen in history.
No,
I'm
but
not claiming that people didn't do it.
Again, then how do you reinterpret what was being said about the woman committing adultery and being stoned, and then Jesus stepping in? How do you?
Well,
how do you do
it's
that?
a Bible story, right?
Well, they all are stories. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have other verification of that as being a historic event. It's just a Bible story. It's exclusively a Bible story, right?
Okay, so you're in the camp that says it's a story versus literally true, right? I just want to understand which camp you're in. It's not literally true. It's just, figuratively speaking, a story. Okay.
I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I thought you were done again.
No, I just want to know which camp you're in because it'll confuse me.
I got it.
Huh?
I got it. I'm trying to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if you don't have a consistent reading of the text, you're not reading it right. Christians do not have a consistent reading of the text. I think they're not reading it right. When the Bible describes how to make an altar and what a stone for an altar is and what the word stone means, it requires that the stone is made of 2 parts, okay? That it has the word of God written in those 2 parts. It specifically says in as in inside of, and that you can't lift a tool onto them. They're unchangeable. You cannot change them in any way, and they have to have the word of God written in them. That's the definition of what a stone is.
Okay. Now, again, what are you leading up to? Because, I pointed out that science, right, there's a consensus before it makes the statement.
Right.
in support of the idea. Where the Bible, there is no, there's just people arguing about it, but there is no consensus.
Sure, that's
Otherwise-
true, but that's
Okay.
why I'm referring to other parts of the Bible and its own definitions for the words it's using. That's why I'm saying it this way.
Okay.
I'm not even saying you have to believe the Bible is true, but if we're going to critique the Bible, let's at least critique it consistently within itself. Let's at least do that.
Well, no, I do critique it as a story. I never critique it as fact. Fact would include science. Science doesn't deal with things that it cannot measure. It
Right.
just, why? There's no point in science doing that. Okay, but again, if it's a story, it's interpreted in different ways. I agree. And there's people that follow those beliefs. I agree. That's why they have different denominations in Christianity.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
okay, but that's of the mind, a feeling. I have no issue with faith. It's
Okay.
it's an emotion. Well, Hebrews 11:1 bears that out.
Right.
The word hope in that book, chapter, and verse is an emotion. It's a feeling. So I know because of the word, you just believe because I said something. Okay, it's like me believing in a video game versus someone else believing in their video game. Okay, that's just an idea. And if you believe in the idea and practice, your life within the rules or parameters, you're good and accepted into that idea, whatever it may be. In this case, it's Christianity. Okay,
That's fair.
okay, it's just of your
That's-
mind. But
That's
what do you
fair.
do? What
But
do you
could
do
I ask
after
you-
you've learned all of that? That's the point.
If I could just bring you back to the original question that I asked you and the challenge that you made. You said, how can it be true, the story of the woman and the stoning, and Jesus is consistent? Okay. You said he's being inconsistent, or she's deceived him and he's stupid, or something. Something's wrong with the story, right?
I never said Jesus was stupid. Never said.
I didn't say you said Jesus. is stupid.
Okay. No,
I'm not trying to suggest you said Jesus is stupid. That was my words.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said there's a problem with the story.
Well, yeah.
Would you concede that if the word stone there means the word of God written in permanence and cannot be changed and not written with human hands, no tool lifted upon them, that would mean the Bible by necessity? And the word stone, if it means the Bible, is not talking about hitting people in the head with rocks at all.
Okay, that's what right there. That's what's confusing. It doesn't add up, because if I was to stone this woman because the word of God was on the stone, I would give her the stone or throw the stone at her, because I'm giving her the word of God. And now Jesus comes in and says, no, forget the stones. In other words, forget the word of God. Go and sin no more. That's what's so confusing. It's not linear. It doesn't make sense.
It is linear. If the Jews were taking
interrupt real quick. Sorry, I'm gonna have to end this stream.
Yeah, this
I have
is
to
really
get going
hard.
for work.
Okay.
Sorry. You
That's
guys
cool,
can
that's
talk off
cool,
air,
cool.
but yeah, I got to get ready for. I lost track.
We
of
can
time,
always
my
pick
bad.
it up. We can always pick it up.